are you? So in this session we are going to talk about the time series components and the types of this time series. So let's start with the today's session and the various reasons or the forces which affected the value of an observation in time series are the components of a time series. The four categories of components of time series are trend, seasonal variations, cyclic variations, random or irregular movements. Seasonal and cyclic variations are the periodic changes or short-term fluctuations. So basically, the it was saying that the various reasons or the forces that affect the time and its components are divided into the four categories like trends, seasonal variations, cyclic variations, random or irregular movements. So basically, the cyclic variations and the seasonal are the periodic changes or the short-term fluctuations, but the random or irregular movements and the trend are the long-term fluctuations. So now let's move on to the next, and it is the pictorial way or the you can say block diagram of these components of the time series, which is where we have the three components: long-term movement or trend, short-term movement or short-term movements, random or irregular movements. So basically we have these three types, and the short term movements is further divided into the two subcategories, which is seasonal variations and the cyclic variations. And now let's move on to the next topic, which is now let's study in more deep about these time series components. So first component is the trend. The trend shows the general tendency of data to increase or decrease during a long period of time. So basically, a trend is showing tendency like it is going up, increasing or it is going decreasing for a long period of time. That's what a trend is. A trend is a smooth, general, long-term average tendency. It is not always necessary that the increases or decreases in the same direction throughout the given period of time. So basically, it is not necessary that if the something is increasing, that it is always increasing, and that what a trend means. Sometimes it goes low, and sometimes it goes more high than low then more high then low then more high, and that's what trend is all about. Like it is increasing and overall it is increasing, or overall it is decreasing. It is observable that the tendencies may increase or decrease or are stable in different sections of time, but the overall trend must be upward, downward or stable. So basically we categorize our trend into the basic three categories, like at the overall trend is going upward, or the overall trend is going downward, or the overall trend is stable, like a stock price of a company, a revenue of a company, or a profit of a company. Like profit is going upward, profit is increasing at the overall rate, or the profit is like stable, like it is go upward and downward, but at an average it is says you can say it like stable. And overall profit is going downward, like it goes upward but it goes more downward after some time, then it goes upward a little and it goes downward most of the time. Then the you can say that average is the average trend is like a downward. So that was a downward trend. And the population, agriculture, production, items manufactured, number of births, and that's number of industry or any factor, number of schools or colleges are some of the its examples showing some kinds of tendencies of movement. So basically we can consider these variables like population, agriculture, or items manufactured, number of births, and so all of these factors, we these all variables are showing the trends like upward trend, downward trend, or a stable trend. Next is like a trend is also divided into the two parts, which is linear and non-linear trend. If we plot the time series value on a graph in accordance with the time t, the pattern of data clustering shows the time of trend. If the set of data cluster more or less around a straight line, then the trend is linear. Otherwise, it is non-linear, curvilinear. So basically it is saying that, like, it is saying that if data is going much more upward, then it goes little bit down, then it goes more upward, then it was going a little bit down, or it was going more downward a little bit up, more downward a little bit up. You can say that overall is like upward, overall is all is like downward, or maybe overall is is the stable, then the trend is linear. Otherwise, it is going more upward, more downward, and less upward, more downward, less downward, more upward. Something like non-pattern, which doesn't have any sense. Then you can say that it is a non-linear, or curvilinear. Next, the seasonal variations. These are the rhythmic forces which operate on a regular and periodic manner over a span of less than a year. So basically, it occurs in a rhythmic forces. Then they have the same or almost same pattern during a period of 12 months. Like, these seasonal variations are following a same pattern overall the 12 months. These variations will be present in time series if data is recorded hourly, daily, weekly, quarterly, or monthly. These variations come into play either because of the natural forces or man-made conventions. The variations, seasons, or climate conditions play an important role in seasonal variations. Like, there are seasonal variations due to the rhythmic forces, or by natural or man-made. So these changes are following the same pattern over the 12 months, and these seasonal variations occur every year, and hourly, daily, weekly, quarterly, or monthly. This variation this variation will be present in time series, and data is recorded. So that's all about this seasonal variations. Next game is, like, such a production of crops depends on, these are some example, like, production of crops depends on seasons. The sales of umbrella and raincoats in rainy season, and the sale of electric fans and AC shoots up in the summer season. So something like that. It's like seasonal. When the season comes, the sale is increasing, or increases of that. And when season goes, the sale is go downwards, or there is no sale of that sometime. Next, the effect of man-made conventions such as some festivals, customs, habits, fashion, and some occasions like marriages easily noticeable. So something like festivals, like in India there is festival Diwali and Holi. In Diwali, these crackers were sell more and more around October and November, and sometimes also in marriage or the New Year, or maybe some other occasions. But mostly the crackers were sold in Diwali, and in the time of Holi, the festival Holi, when it occurred, the Holi came in month of March. Then the holy colors will more and more over get sold in the month of March, and but in the month of October and November there is no sale of holy colors, and in month of March there may or may not be any sale of crackers. The effect of man-made conventions such as some festival custom habits, fashions, and some occasions like marriages easily noticeable. They recur themselves year after year. The upswing in a season should not be taken as an indicator of better business condition. Now, next move on to the next topic, which is cyclic variations. The variations in time series which operate themselves over a span or more than 1 year are the cyclic variations. So basically, these variations are in time series which operate themselves over or more than a year. This oscillatory movement has a period of oscillations of more than a year. The one complete period is a cycle. This cycle movement is sometimes called the business cycle. It is a four phase cycle comprising of phases: prosperity, recession, depression, and recovery. The cyclic variations may be regular or not periodic. The upswing and downswings in business depends upon the joint nature of the economic forces and the interaction between them. So that's about the cyclic variations, which uh, which operate themselves over a span of more than 1 year, and this one complete period is a cycle. This can be called as business cycle. It is in the four phases like prosperity, recession, depression, and recovery. And these cyclic variations may be regular, and it may be periodic, and the upswing and downswing in business depend upon the nature of the economic forces and the interactions between them. Next is random or irregular movements. There is another factor which causes the variations in variable under study. They are not regular variations and are purely random or irregular. These fluctuations are unforeseen, uncontrollable, unpredictable, and are erratic. These forces are earthquakes, wars, floods, famines, and any other disasters. So basically, the random or irregular movements are like something like suddenly there came a world war, or suddenly there came a volcano or eruption, or suddenly any earthquake happen, or the tsunami, floods. So something like that. At that time you can say that it is a random or irregular movement which suddenly came into the picture, and it changes the whole the planning of or everything. Next is time series components and the types. Yeah, so basically now we are going to talk about the time series types. There are two types, and first of all let's start with the first type, which is additive time series model. In the additive model is such a time series in which the magnitude of seasonal fluctuations does not vary with the level of time series. It is represented as yt equals to tt plus st plus et. Here trend, seasonal, and irregular components are simply added together to give the observed series. For example, consider the scenario of sales in an umbrella manufacturing company in every rainy season, June to August of all years. We observed an increase of 10,000 umbrella in sales, then it came termed as additive model. So basically, additive model is such a time series in which the magnitude of seasonal fluctuation does not vary with the level of time series. So it is basically going to be add every year by year. The like sales of this umbrella is getting increased by 10,000 umbrellas. It is getting increased year by year. So if it is getting increases by some value, then we can say that it is a additive time series model. Next came is like multiplicative time series model. The multiplicative model is such a time series in which season fluctuations increase or decrease per proportionality with increases and decreases in the level of series. It is represented as yt equals to tt into st into et. Here, trend, season, and irregular components are multiplied together to give the observed series. Consider the same scenario of sales in an umbrella manufacturing company as above. In every rainy season, June to August of all years, we observed an increase of 10% umbrellas in sale. Then it can be termed as multiplicative model. So when there is increase in sale according to the number, like a perfect number is going to be added every year by year, then we can say that it is a additive time series model. But then when there is a increase in sales, when there is increase in sales according to the percentage, according to the whole percentage of the whole data, like 10% increase, x% increase, 1 or 2 or any number of percent of increase year by year, then we can say that it is a multiplicative time series model. So that's all about the time series types. And in this theoretical session, we talk about the time series components and types, where we first of all talk about what is the time series components, and what is the time series components and its types. Like components of time series are long-term movement or trend, short-term movements, random or irregular movements, and short-term movements as two parts, seasonal variations and cyclic variations. These are the time components, and we talk about some components like trend, linear or and non-linear trend, seasonal variations, and then we have the cyclic variations, random or irregular movements. Then we talk about the time series types, which are the additive time series model and the multiplicative time series model. So that's all for the today's session. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. Stay motivated and keep learning.